Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Rachel Wilbrack, and I am our program director that works with the College of Computer, Mathematical, and Natural Sciences. We're here to talk about career readiness in uncertain times, and I'm here with our director, Mr. Kelly Bishop. And I'll let him introduce himself and continue.
Thanks, Rachel. Delighted to have everybody here this morning. We know that this is a very unusual time that's upon us now with the pandemic and what it's done to the job market, but we want to give you some strategies for approaching that, give you a bigger sense of how the career development process works for your student and what resources we have to help them through that. So our mission is all about something called career readiness. We want to help students understand how their personality, interests, skills, and values relate to a career, how to use the services, resources, tools that we offer through the Career Center and other resources on campus, connect those to relevant learning experiences that give them exposure and education about their interest areas, help them learn to articulate what they contribute in a work setting so they become marketable, and then get them engaged with the professionals in their interest areas at an early stage. This is the job market that unfortunately we just left as the pandemic set on. This is from our graduation survey that we conduct every year. And this is what the class of 2019 experienced. It's very good outcomes. We accounted for, Rachel, if you'll show the knowledge rate and the placement rate. The knowledge rate indicates the students that were able to track down, which was over 80% of them, which is very good statistics. And the placement rate, which is adding up those categories that include full-time, part-time employment, continuing education, which is predominantly graduate school, participating in a volunteer or service program, which could be something like Peace Corps or AmeriCorps, serving in the military, or there are some students that actually start a business. All those added together accounted for about 95% of our students. This is a terrific outcome. I don't think that we're going to see anything quite this good in this current market. We do have the class of 2020 still in survey mode, and we do that through the end of this year. So we'll have a sense of this by the time we get to January. We don't imagine it's going to look this good. We know this is a tougher job market, but this is something to shoot for, and we hope that the recovery comes quickly enough to see these numbers again soon. For the students that reported employment, we ask a couple of questions about the nature of that position. The first one is this related directly to your career goal or a stepping stone of some kind toward your ultimate career goals? A stepping stone position would be, for example, in advertising, it's not uncommon for the first job to be a postgraduate internship that might go 3 months or 6 months before it's then converted into a full-time role. So that's a stepping stone sort of position. We also ask if the employment was directly related to the content knowledge of what they studied. So the name of the major having an equivalency to the work that they're doing, or if it draws highly upon the knowledge, skills, and abilities they got from that particular course of study. So for example, there are many students that are engineering majors that wind up going into consulting. They're not literally working as engineers, but their strong quantitative and analytical skills are a great fit for that industry. So both of these stats, 94% in each category, is really good and indicates it's not students just leaving and getting whatever job will pay the bills. It says, I'm engaged. We want to give you a sense of the way we conceptualize this journey that students are on. And it really breaks down into roughly 3 stages. The first one, Career Foundations, is about students understanding themselves, understanding how this process works, and beginning to plug into the resources and tools that we have. In the middle stage, they're gaining experience, direct exposure, which the ultimate expression of would be a formal internship, which 80% of our students have at least one of those by the time they graduate. But it even includes early stages of this, which we call career exposure. So for example, panels that we hold where we have experts from those fields, often alumni, that the students meet. So not just hear from talking on the panel, but get to sit with one-on-one and say, tell me about what you do. How did you get there? What do you like about it? And so forth. We have one of our signature programs called Intern for a Day. And in that one, it's a half-day job shadow program. So a student actually gets to experience what the environment is like. The professional preparation stage is the one that most people know about career centers for job fairs, on-campus interviews, getting people prepped to be good at those things, and beginning to develop that network of professionals in your field before you graduate. There is a more expansive version of this model. This is one that we use predominantly with faculty to explain to them how this process works, but it's significant for you as parents as well. If you take a look at that first ring that leads to graduation, those things, lectures, labs, selection of the major, fulfilling your major requirements, fulfilling the distributed requirements, those are the things that are required. Every student will be required to do those things to reach graduation. But the ring that's just out from that leads to a meaningful college experience, those are largely things that are not required. There are some majors that have pieces of this that are requirements, but for the most part, these are things students have to choose to decide to take advantage of. And these are very, very, very important learning experiences. If you look at that outer ring, that's where our work happens. So we're trying to help students align in each of these stages back to what they're learning academically, but also drawing upon those experiences that they've had when they begin to understand how the things they're learning connect with the things they love to do and how those then connect to a career path. What's significant about this is that you can see it's a fair amount of work and there are many steps to it. So it's imperative that students start this journey pretty early and get familiar with the resources, services, programs that are out there that are going to help them get through these stages. That's what's going to lead to getting those post-graduation goals when they graduate.
All righty. So the University Career Center has a number of different programs and services. I'm going to touch on a lot of them, but I'm sure we will be missing some. One-on-one appointments, I feel like, are the things that most people think of. They think, my student has a question, they can go talk to an advisor, right? And that is certainly one part, but it is not all of it. But those appointments could be anything from a simple resume or cover letter review to talking about an internship and specific strategies for your search or your student search, job search, thinking about graduate school, trying to find research opportunities. There's a lot of different topics that could be covered in those one-on-one appointments. We also try to take some of those bigger questions or areas that a lot of students want more information on and try to have workshops. So those could be job search workshops. They could be about specifically tailoring your resume to a specific field. I know, like before the career fair, I personally do a technical resume and a scientific research resume because of the students that I work with. That is often helpful right before the career fair. But we have a number of different job search workshops that we do. We have resume reviews, of course, help with mock interviews so students can practice and be well prepared when they have a real interview. We have industry panels and networking opportunities and events for students to meet alumni and employer partners that we work with, partly to make connections and maybe get leads on jobs or internships, but also to just get advice and tips for a field that maybe they're just learning about and just starting to explore. Career fairs, as Kelly mentioned earlier, another big thing that most people think about when they think about the University Career Center. We have a large fair each semester for all majors, but then also smaller boutique fairs for specific areas, majors, fields sometimes, and other employer events like networking nights, meetups, events, again, where students have the opportunity to meet and connect with potential employers. We have a few career courses on this campus. Two of them are housed directly in the University Career Center. EDCP 108I, which is about finding an internship. Psych 123, the psychology of getting hired. And there's a third course in communications that is also career related as well. Faculty modules, a few of us in experiential learning pulled together a number of different assignments and put it into ELMS. You might have heard your student talk about ELMS as a place they go for their classes. to see different assignments or maybe even take quizzes. We created modules that faculty members can very easily pull from our space in Elms and put directly into theirs, so they can literally copy it, have it, and share it with their students and put it in their class fairly easily. So we are creating new activities and assignments as we find new needs, so they can integrate those into their classes as they see fit. Then, of course, like everyone, we have online resources. Our website, careers.umd.edu, has everything from resumes, job search, interviewing, and on. Then also, as you can see on the screen, we've had over 27,000 student touch points in the last year. Alrighty, so career exposure programs. Kelly talked a little bit about this earlier. He mentioned Intern for a Day, which is the job shadow opportunity. Typically, we have 800 students annually that participate in that program. It does look a little different this year, as you might imagine. Students are not going directly to a job site to shadow an individual. My colleague is calling it Intern for a Day Light this year. And what it is basically is informational interviews. So we have a number of different alumni and, again, employer partners that have volunteered to provide information and to students that want to ask questions about their career path, about what it's like to work at a certain organization or in a certain field. And so they will not be going physically to that office or that job site, but they will get a lot of really good information and advice about that career path. Career shuttles will also look different this year for those of us that are having them. Typically, that is where we rent a career shuttle, one of our shuttle buses on campus, and we take students to a site, and they get to see, as you can see from the one picture, they get to see National Geographic channels, for instance. Anywhere from 100 to 300 students participate in that. This year, we have employers that are doing online, Zoom visits and talking about their organization and answering questions about how best to find out about opportunities and what it's like to work there, and answer all those questions, just unfortunately without being able to physically go at this time. Some other career events, we do meetups. This is from 2019, our government industry. We have meetups where typically it's a small amount of employers, so it's not as big as a career fair, but they each kind of get their own table and they can bring information if they want. And we do kind of encourage employers for the meetup situation specifically to maybe have some jobs or internships that they can point to that students can apply to right now. So not saying that, oh, if you want to in the future, here's where you go. Like, actually be able to say, these are the ones that we have open right now that you could apply to, and be able to answer questions about those positions. We also have, as I mentioned before, some of those boutique or smaller career fairs. This is a reverse career fair for students in the arts. So these students are actually the ones that have the table. So instead of a traditional career fair where the employer has the table, students have the table and they get to showcase their art and design work. And the employers are the ones who circulate the room and get to talk to students that they're interested in talking to. And then here's a picture from one of our speed networking nights, an opportunity for students to network and move tables and talk to a lot of different people, and not only practice their networking, but hopefully also get to talk to someone who's in an industry or a field that they're interested in and get more advice about that field or industry as well. So we've had, as you can imagine, a little bit of a pivot with most things being online. I'm sure a lot of you are also working from home. So as I mentioned before, Intern for a Day Light is now not a job shadow program, but an informational interview program for this semester. In the top right-hand corner, you can see the Summer Career Series. Those were 4 programs that we did in June to kind of add some extra programming for maybe those students that just graduated that felt like they needed a little more assistance, or students that maybe were looking for that internship for the summer and it just didn't happen. So what could they do if they didn't have an internship instead, to do things over the summer and make most of their summer and their time? So finding that programming that's really important to what's going on right now is something that we've tried to hit. And then that bottom right-hand corner screenshot is of our YouTube page. As you can imagine, it is growing a lot right now. Any presentations that we're doing for students are being recorded, so students that can't make it at the time that we go live can watch it later. We're also using it to get into classrooms because we can record and send classes a link. So if we're not there in real time, we can send it to them, like record it ahead of time and send it to them to view during class time or even as a homework assignment. So we are not in person, but we are certainly doing a lot virtually right now. Appointments, of course, are virtual as well. So still meeting all those needs, just in a slightly different way.
There have been questions about how are employers faring in this new environment? Are they completely drying up all of their opportunities and nothing's available? That's not what we're finding. We just did our major 3-day career fair a couple of weeks ago, and these are some of the statistics from that. What was most surprising for us is we had 226 organizations participate. Normally, our numbers are closer to about 270 to 300. So a surprising number of people did turn out. We're hearing from many of these organizations, while we're not sure what our hiring targets may be for this year, we need to keep this talent pipeline open. We want to meet with your students. We also had more students show up than we expected. This is more than 50% of what we would normally have. So students are adjusting to this environment as well. We heard from some of them that, you know what, I kind of like this format better because I wasn't waiting in a long line with a bunch of other students and feeling pressure that I needed to quickly make my pitch when I got my turn in front of the employer. I felt like I had more personal one-on-one time. We're hearing from the employers that, you know, now that we're not trying to send a team of 2 or 3 people to campus, we can actually get 15 to 20 people on our staff involved in the virtual fair on the day of the event. And many of them are going to be alumni from the University of Maryland. So there's a more personal touch to this. So we're all adjusting. The numbers are more encouraging than we thought. We're seeing very similar results with other niche fairs. Employers are turning out. So we're remaining hopeful about this. This is just a plug for one of our career courses. It's called The Psychology of Getting Hired. It is a psychology course. And it's a 1-credit online asynchronous course, so it doesn't have an actual class meeting time. Students can run through this at their own pace. They do have activities that connect them directly with our resources and services and programs. So for example, they'll do a mock interview with us. They'll also do a one-on-one resume appointment with our peer career educators. What's been remarkable for us about this class are the pre-test and post-test comparisons that we see of how far students move in terms of their knowledge about this career development process, about job search processes, and their confidence in their ability to do it. So for example, you saw in the pre-survey that only about 29% of students said, I know what employers are looking for in a resume. By the time we got to the midpoint of the course, 90% of them said, okay, now I get it. The same with confidence in interviewing skills and understanding key skills that employers seek. So we've seen great gains with this course. We have between this course and our EDCP 108I Academic Transitions to Internships course, about 1,000 students a year take this. Your student may be very interested in this approach because this structures all of this process into a curriculum, which is what most students are very familiar and comfortable with, and they can earn a credit for it. So this is a great investment if they'd like to make it. And you can take this as a first-year student or any level student. So here's the advice that we're giving current students, and particularly the ones who've just graduated. There is time right now to work on your profile, particularly your LinkedIn profile, because you'll probably be doing a lot more networking, and get your resume really tuned up well so that more than anything, you've really vetted for yourself, what's the story that I tell with any one of these entries on my resume? You can do a much deeper dive on your interest field at this point. And what we are hearing from employers and certainly from our alumni, we may not be able to hire right now, but we're more than willing to talk to students and let them understand more of what we have at the entry level. When we do start hiring, we can talk about our own journeys into the organization in this particular industry or field. So this is a great time to make those investments. Expanding your professional network through that method is what's going to put you at the front of the line when hiring starts up again. One other thing is adding some more marketable skills to your background. We have a contract with LinkedIn Learning, used to be called lynda.com, and it's free to students. There are an amazing array of courses and modules that students can take, and they're usually short term. They're not difficult to get through. They're incredibly well produced, and they're on everything from technical skills. So it could be getting to learn Excel or Microsoft Word better, learning statistical packages, learning basic programming languages, data visualization things like Python, or learning soft skills like how to mediate a conflict, how to be a better supervisor, leadership skills. There are thousands of modules that they have in this platform, again, free to students, something that they can do on their own time frame at their own pace. And employers do notice when students have added these things to their resume. You get a certificate from LinkedIn Learning when you complete any one of these, and employers have told us, yeah, we pay attention to those things. So Rachel, any last minute advice for our parents and family members?
Wow. I think the first thing that I would say is it's never too soon to start. Like, I know sometimes that sounds crazy. I talk to students sometimes first semester freshmen, and I'm there talking about, when they leave. And I'm like, I know it sounds crazy that you just got here and I'm talking about like what you might want to do after. But the truth is getting an early start, just exploring and seeing what's out there and seeing what kind of opportunities we in the University Career Center can offer and expose a student to early on means that they will have more confidence as they go through their internship or job search process eventually. Um, and they'll maybe feel a little bit more confident as they start to explore and try out things. And so it isn't that they get to senior year and they go, oh my gosh, I haven't been doing anything. And now I have to rush and figure stuff out. Like, hopefully, ideally, they are connected and kind of working with us throughout their time here. And so that would be something that I would encourage you. That being said, if you have a senior and they haven't seen us, they don't need to freak out. But yes, I think that they should come and talk to us, or, if they're in engineering has their career services, business school has theirs, that kind of thing. But that would probably be my big piece of advice. It's never too early to get started and to at least know what we're doing.
I want to echo those thoughts as well, and reiterate that you don't have to know as a student what your career path is supposed to be. I think some students are intimidated thinking, I can't use the Career Center until I know what I want my career to be. Just the opposite. You can come in and say, I have no idea. I don't even know where to start, and we'll work with you there. So as Rachel said, we'll work with students at wherever stage they're in. And we can take you as a first year student. We can take you as a senior about to graduate. We'll work with you. We'll be here for you. Rachel and I both have our email addresses here. Feel free to reach out to either one of us or send your student our way, and we look forward to working with them. So thanks very much for spending a morning with us.
Thank you so much.